You know, there's something sacred about having a little corner of the world that's yours and yours alone. For me, that place was my garage. It wasn't just a place to park my truck, it was my escape, my retreat, my stress reliever. I had my tools hung up in just the right order, a little workbench with half-finished projects only I understood, and even a mini fridge with a couple beers chilled for quiet evenings when the world felt a little too loud. That garage was peace until Deborah parked her Lexus in it and decided to take a nap like she owned the damn place. Now, before I go too deep into this, you gotta understand who Deborah is. She's the HOA president in our neighborhood, and not the kind that keeps things tidy and fair. No, Deborah's the type who weaponizes the rulebook like it's the Constitution. 1 inch too tall on your grass. You'll get a letter. Put up a flag without her approval. She's knocking on your door at 6 a.m. And the worst part is, while she's out there enforcing every minor clause, she treats herself like royalty. Parking in other folks' driveways, using the community garden like it's her private backyard. She thinks she's above it all because she's got a clipboard and a title. So that day when I pulled into my driveway after work, expecting to unwind with some country radio and a socket wrench in hand, and found her Lexus sitting pretty in my garage, I just froze. For a second I thought maybe I was seeing things. Maybe a neighbor had a delivery gone wrong. But nope. My garage door was shut, and that shiny SUV was smack in the middle like it belonged there. I opened the door slowly, half expecting her to leap out with some smug explanation. Instead, I found her fast asleep. I mean, this woman, the tyrant of our HOA, was curled up in the driver's seat, engine running, windows up, totally passed out like it was nap time at daycare. For a minute, I just stood there blinking. The sheer audacity of it, like, did she forget this isn't a public parking garage? Or did she think I'd just roll over and say, "Yes, Queen Deborah, by all means take the space where I live"? I tapped on the window, nothing. I knocked a little louder, still nothing. She was out cold, and that's when something inside me snapped. Maybe it was months of pent-up frustration, all the notices, the condescending tone, the way she made the whole neighborhood feel like we were walking on eggshells. Or maybe it was just the ridiculousness of the moment. But I wasn't about to let her get away with this. Not this time. I stepped back, closed the garage door, and stood there thinking. I could have just called the cops. I could have knocked until she woke up and made a scene. But now that would have been too easy. Deborah needed to learn a lesson. A real one. The kind that lingers, you know? And then it hit me: Max and Ruby. Now, Max and Ruby aren't your average pets. They're my two Rottweilers. Max is the older one, built like a tank, all muscle and no nonsense. Ruby's a bit smaller, younger, but she's got this intense stare that'll make your knees buckle if you're not expecting it. Sweet as pie with me and the kids, but if you're a stranger, you'd better have a good reason to be standing on our property. I opened the house door, whistled, and out they trotted like it was any other day. Their tails wagged, noses twitching, just excited to stretch their legs. But the second they caught the scent of someone new in the garage, they perked up like security guards on patrol. I gave him a nod and let them explore. No barking, no growling, just two big dogs silently pacing around a strange car parked in their space. Now let me be clear, I wasn't trying to hurt her. That's never been my way. But a little psychological correction? Oh yeah, that felt just right. I figured she'd wake up, see the dogs, freak out a little, maybe finally realize the world doesn't revolve around her HOA title. And boy did she wake up. She opened her eyes slowly at first, probably disoriented, expecting to be in some cozy spot she actually had a right to be in. But then she locked eyes with Max, who was now sitting right in front of the driver's side, staring like a bouncer waiting for her name on the list. Ruby was behind, just pacing slowly, tail wagging, head low. Deborah screamed loud, like she just saw a ghost. It echoed off the concrete and made Max tilt his head like, "Lady, why are you yelling?" She started scrambling, trying to get into the back seat, fumbling with her purse like maybe she had holy water or something in there. But then she realized she was locked in. I had shut the garage door behind me, remember? She was sealed inside her and the dogs. Now here's where it went from funny to hilarious, and then to something kind of poetic. She started sneezing. At first I thought it was just nerves, maybe dust. But then came the sniffles, the red face, the wild fits of uncontrollable sneezing. And it clicked, oh my God, Deborah is allergic to dogs. So now I'm watching this woman who once fined a veteran neighbor for flying a slightly faded American flag trapped in my garage, crying, sneezing, and begging to be let out like a raccoon stuck in a dumpster. I leaned against the wall and let it play out for a minute. Not gonna lie, it felt good. Not because she was suffering, but because karma doesn't usually land this perfectly. She brought this on herself. You don't barge into someone else's space and expect comfort. You don't rule over a community like a dictator and assume nobody will ever push back. Eventually, though, I let her out. I'm not heartless. I opened the garage door slowly, and she bolted out of that Lexus like it was on fire. Her face was flushed, eyes red and watery, hair sticking to her forehead. She was still sneezing, still sniffling, still kind of in shock. And then she looked at me not with anger, but with this pitiful, defeated expression I hadn't seen before. Like the crown had slipped. Like she realized, for the first time, she'd crossed a line. I'm sorry, she muttered, voice barely there. I shouldn't have parked in your garage. I just nodded. Yeah, I said, calm as ever. It's not just about the garage, Deborah. It's about respect. You can't treat everyone like pawns and expect no pushback. She looked down, didn't argue, didn't lecture, just shuffled away like a scolded school kid, still sneezing into her elbow. Max and Ruby, they followed me back into the house like heroes returning from battle, tails wagging, totally unaware they'd just delivered the most righteous HOA enforcement the neighborhood's ever seen. And Deborah? She never parked in my garage again. Never even looked my way at the next HOA meeting. Something in her changed, maybe for good, maybe just long enough to stay out of trouble. But one thing's for sure, she learned that day that authority doesn't mean immunity. So yeah, maybe the moral here is that sometimes you don't need to fight fire with fire. Sometimes you just need two loyal dogs, a locked door, and the patience to let karma play its part. What would you have done if it were your space being invaded? Let me know in the comments, do you think I went too far, or was it just the right dose of poetic justice? Hit that like button if you've ever dealt with a power-hungry HOA, and don't forget to subscribe for more true tales from the neighborhood frontline.